It is time for Rapid Fire here with their takes. Bill Griffith, Seema Modi, Robert Frank. We're going to start with Goldman Sachs upgrading Nike to buy from neutral and adding it to its conviction buy list. Calls the shoemaker a unique asset with China as a key driver of growth and strong brand momentum in key markets. Goldman raising its price target to 112 from 95. That represents an 18% upside from here. Let's turn to the lady from Portland for the first comment here on that Oregon company.
Yeah, I drive by Nike whenever I go home in Beaverton, Oregon. I think what's really interesting about this stock, it's already up about 23% this year. So this upgrade is coming a little bit late to the game. But Goldman Sachs' comments on China were interesting because earlier this year we were talking about how this trade war and the potential rise in nationalism in China could result in the Chinese preferring local brands over American ones. But clearly the analysts there don't think that's the case.
It's funny, isn't it, that so many companies, including the one we're going to talk about next, they're worried about China.
Right.
And here's an analyst saying it's going to be China that's going to drive Nike.
I don't think Nike has complained yet about China, right? I mean, they've been sailing along as it is. I mean, they're trying to promote a consumer culture in China, and they're trying to promote a sports culture in China as well. So what do you do when you're trying to consume more and sports related? Nike is in the vortex of all of that. So
yeah, and
if
you look at them relative to the competitors, I mean, this is the story of the empire keeps striking back against any of the upstarts. Under Armour now valued at $8 billion. Lululemon, which is a big, fast grower, valued at $30 billion. Nike, $120. I mean, they are the giant that cannot be stopped.
And the brand power that they have. I have a 14-year-old son who just had a birthday, and his favorite gift, gave him a gift certificate to this hot sneaker store in town. And he came back last night with these Nikes. He wouldn't buy any. They're actually Air Jordans. They're Jumpman shoes. He wouldn't have any other brand.
Isn't that incredible that it's still Michael Jordan's brand?
It's still Michael Jordan's brand.
Yeah, I mean, how many years since he's retired from the NBA?
Right.
At least.
Yeah.
All
right, next up.
Did we ever buy Babe Ruth stuff?
Let's really think about that.
It would be
it's
the
really
same
true.
From the candy bar.
It's really true. Right. All right, next up, the industrial giant 3M is the biggest laggard on the Dow today. The stock down by as much as 2.5% after the CEO Mike Roman's comments at a conference where he called out the struggles his company faced this year. Let's listen.
2019 was a challenging year, and we saw some particular focus challenges in key end markets, China, automotive, and electronic. I spent time in China over the last month, a couple different times. I was over there. I just came back from Europe. I would say there's still a lot of uncertainty out there. You've seen a lot of economic data this week. Hasn't really pointed to a definitive change.
What do you make of that, Robert?
I make of it what Seema makes of it.
Well, I think we care about 3M because it's one of the most globally oriented names in the industrial sector.
It's a sticky name.
And unlike Nike, it's been having a lot of issues in China and Asia Pacific in general. In fact, it cut its guidance last quarter because of the weakness that it's seeing in Asia Pacific. And I also think it brings up a good point that even if we do get a phase one trade deal, the effect that it's had on the Chinese economy, it's going to take some time for that economy to recover and for some of the big industrials that do business there, for them to see a jump in sales. And I think 3M, it's really been the dog of the industrial sector. To your point, down 14%, not just this year, but over the past 12 months, I can see it's down about 40%.
You have to believe that this trade war has gone on long enough that it has taxed every CFO in America to try and come up with as many techniques as possible to work around these tariffs and the cost rising and trying to maintain profit margins and all those things. You have to believe eventually they're going to run out of
But with 3M, is
tricks,
it an issue of sourcing from China or is it an issue of what they sell to
Sales.
Chinese consumers?
So
that's a business market, whereas you look at Nike, we're talking about how so many companies are doing well in China. That's really the sort of higher-end consumer market, which is holding up well. I wonder if the broad business market in China is what's suffering because of the slowdown.
And it's a great point. It's very diversified. They make adhesives and gluing agents for everything from Scotch tape to welding helmets to white nicotine agents. So it's really spans across many different industries and why it's seen as a proxy for economic growth.
They need Michael Jordan Post-it notes.
That's right. If they had Jumpman, they would be good. But it really goes to the point that when you look at China and the effect of the trade war and the slowing of the economy there, that either is tied to the trade war or not tied to the trade war, industrials may be hit harder than a consumer company like
3M.
Like Nike.
Starbucks.
Or Nike. Exactly.
Nike, anyway.
Yeah.
Topic number 3 is Ulta Beauty. It reports earnings after the bell, but the past 6 months have been anything but beautiful for the stock, losing nearly a third of its value since June. For more on why this could be an earnings ultimatum. Oh, that was good. We are joined by Rahel Solomon.
Did you
write on the runway here?
Did you write that?
I mean, I have my moments of brilliance.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
What's going on at Ulta?
So here's why the Kylie news is really important. The Kylie and the Cody news, because
Kylie Jenner.
Kylie Jenner, of course.
Brand.
The Kylie Jenner.
Yeah.
Yes, the brand, the cosmetics brand. So Ulta had previously been the exclusive retail partner for Kylie Cosmetics. With this Cody partnership, that's likely not going to be the case moving forward. They're likely going to expand distribution. You're going to be able to buy the product, most likely other places, even internationally. Not good news for Ulta. Also, not just for Ulta, but some of its competitors like Estee Lauder. One of the trends right now in beauty is, ironically, less makeup.
Right.
When you take your selfie on Instagram, Bill, you know this.
I'm well aware.
Less makeup.
Haven't you noticed? I wear
Less
makeup.
And the
Vesco
Vesco girls, right? The whole Vesco girl
Exactly.
trend is no makeup.
Less makeup, you want like bare, dewy skin. That's a trend. And Ulta, for their offerings, that's a lot less of what they sell. So they sort of have a couple of different issues that they're facing. Last time they reported, their stock tanked about 20% after hours. They report later today. So it's going to be something to watch.
You know, it wasn't too long ago that Ulta could do no wrong.
Yeah.
You're right.
It was the hot retailer
And
out
they had
there.
that drop in, the 30% drop in the stock in August, even before
After
the
they-
Kylie Jenner news.
After they reported,
and no
yeah.
one could really explain why the sudden drop in guidance for the year. It was like analysts were like, we're not really sure why.
Well, they are starting to see sales start to soften. So to that point, in third quarter, NPD estimated that sales had dropped for cosmetics, prestige cosmetics in particular, 7%. Skincare increased 7%. So you sort of see where the trends are going.
I trace it to when Robert said, "I'm done with dewy skin." Right?
Yeah,
That was
yeah,
really
no
it.
more dew for me.
No more dewy skin.
I'm dewless.
I'm dewless. I'm dewless. All right, Rahel, stick around because we're going to chew on this one. Bubblegum bubble. Well, it may have finally popped over the past decade. Sales of chewing gum are down 4% globally and 23% in the U.S. In an effort to boost sales, companies are selling gums that promise to help you fall asleep, lose weight, get energized. Give me all three, man.
Does anybody here chew gum still?
No.
I used to.
regularly.
Anybody,
My daughter does.
You're wearing a watch. I was going to say nobody wears watches anymore unless they're functional beyond telling time. And
That's a
what
good
they're
point, yeah.
what they're looking for with chewing gum now is to be more
Functionality.
functional, right?
Yeah,
To
interesting.
to absorb vitamin B and things like that, have a nutritional value
But
to
it's
it
also,
beyond
isn't it?
just chewing.
So what you chew gum before is for clean smelling breath, right? So the whole breath mint explosion. I mean, you go to the store and how many breath mints are there? There's
So
like
many,
30
right?
different kinds of
Yeah.
flavors, and cinnamon and spearmint and whatever. So
But
I think the breath mint has cut into that a bit.
Yeah, for
But
sure.
it's
And also, I
marketing too,
think
right? They
marketing.
need to find different ways to market gum if they really want to turn around the whole sales story.
Yeah.
Can I tell you, when I was in high school, I went to a very strict conservative high school. I
Really?
used to always go to detention because I loved chewing gum. And then I think because of that negative experience, now
Well,
I never chew it.
I lived
never
in
chew it.
Singapore where it was even worse.
Oh,
if you
yeah,
Right.
There's actually
There's a
gum
rule
under the
there.
table right there.
Right here.
Right up there.
Seema, you rebel, you.
Doesn't this go back to? I mean, when you think, isn't Nicorette gum a nicotine-infused gum?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
That
it's
is supposed to
functional,
help people.
apparently
So this is
successful.
kind of the logical extension to me.
Absolutely.
Of
But they're
Nicorette.
also saying that culturally it's become tacky, no pun intended, to chew gum. Chewing gum appears to some, not so great. It's not,
But what about
not,
gum
not
that
so
is supposed to
classic.
help you fall asleep? I mean, you fall asleep with gum.
Well, there's a function to that. I mean, again,
But then what happens once you fall?
well,
Is it justified?
don't smoke in bed either, okay? Just don't chew gum. But I think that these companies, Mondelez is
Right.
huge in chewing gum, and Hershey is another one. They are going to have to make the transition to go
Pivot.
where the consumers are, and the consumers are demanding functionality, not just,
I mean, I don't know about you,
smacking
but
gum
every
here.
time I want vitamin B, I chew gum. My vitamin B, my vitamin D, everything.
Really?
I want it all from gum. Yes.
They have vitamin gums?
That's what they're trying to
It's
do.
good. There's going to be cannabis-infused gum.
I think they're trying that too.
Over
Yeah.
there.
CBD gum.
Good
Yeah.
idea, right?
I'm going to go invest
You know,
right now.
Willie Nelson, we just found out yesterday, we were doing Power Lunch. Willie Nelson
He's off weed.
Stop
smoking.
He's done.
But he's not done with cannabis.
Right. He didn't say he wasn't going to
He's
vape
been
anymore.
eating cannabis-related foods, and I'll bet he chews gum, too. Like that.
All right. We got to leave it on that high note.
How fun was that? Ah, yes.
Well, Bill, Seema, Robert, thank you very much.